Hi class. In previous Comp 2 courses, there have always been really positive comments about getting to see examples of infographics. So I know I posted the examples of effective infographics that use with good design for you, and I want to go over those quickly with you and kind of do a little explanation, and then we're going to look at some that aren't so good, okay? And that sometimes is even more helpful than seeing what's good, is seeing what doesn't work. So in the very first one, I'm just going to click on these. What I want you to notice is the appropriate colors for that's the topic. This is a great introduction block. There is absolutely no doubt what this infographic is about. Red, I told you have to be careful about because sometimes it suggests, anger, or it can suggest alarm or danger, but it can also suggest, well, and love is a good thing, but it can also suggest medical, something medical, like, a Red Cross. We're familiar with that. So in this case, that's why this person created an infographic and used red. As you can see, there's very little text in these segments, but every main point is there. And the text has been condensed, okay, with images that are very appropriate, that leave no doubt what information is being given. And that's what you want to go for. You want to give this image about joyful patients. It's all about conveying it quickly. So they see that image and then they think, okay, and then see the big bold print here, and then they can go back, take their time and read this. But the goal is to get them to understand the main points quickly and the content. This one, just want to point out how much more peaceful it is, and it really is. It's this light gray color just gives a sense of peace to this particular segment. And then again, we have a whole family, and there's the word family right there. Okay, I want to say a word about works cited. Normally, I would ask that you cite the images you find. I think I mentioned that on websites. However, since this is a condensed unit, I'm not going to require that. We're going to claim, fair use for education, but just know going forward, and if you ever want to use the infographic that you create in this class again, you'll have to include citations for those images. They can either be at the bottom, like this one, at the bottom of the infographic, or underneath the image itself. And some people choose this way because they think it's less disruptive to the content, and other people like to put it right under the message. So that's totally up to you, okay? Another one, let's see. I told you that you could use as many blocks as you want. 3 to 5 would be the minimum amount. I would expect it would take that many to get your main points in that you made in your essay. However, I also told you that it is fine to do a one block presentation if you can design it in such a way that you can get everything in there. It's totally up to you. Pictochart allows you to, as I showed you in that demonstration, to increase the size of the blocks or decrease them as you desire, so that you can make a one block infographic like this presentation before, rather than doing it in blocks that are broken up. So here's the title, and the interesting thing about this particular, if you go and look at this in more detail on your own, there are hyperlinks all over this thing, and I'm afraid almost to move my cursor too much because you can, when I hover over something, it will, like, for example, take me to the source of the information. And there's all kinds of hyperlinks up here, like I think the little rocket ship is one, and it takes you to something about rocket science. So it's very interesting. You don't have to include hyperlinks in your infographic. I only tell you that it's possible with picture chart, okay? And then at the end, there's a call to action. It's time to start anew somewhere else before it's too late. That's a really strong finish. So remember that. Whatever is at the bottom of your infographic, consider it your conclusion, and the very last thing or the last image you're going to leave with your viewer. So that's the time to really drive your argument home. Okay? All right. And then this one, let's see. Let's just take a quick look at this one. Okay, the benefits of cloning biological and mechanical. And you can see how these images, human life, there's the DNA strand, leave no doubt about which main points are being discussed. And again, one reason I wanted to show you this one is this person decided to use in-text quotes. That's fine. It's not necessary on an infographic, but it's okay. And I hope y'all notice that there shouldn't be a period right there. Okay? But the main point is that the images, the layout, there's no doubt about what goes with what. So that's the proximity. The colors are appropriate for this topic, aren't they? You know, so especially mechanical, I think. And they're works cited at the bottom. He chose to put all of his sources from his essay, and you don't have to do that either. If you're looking at this and think you have to do it, that's why I'm pointing that out. You do not, okay? And then last, I want to take a quick look at this one because this person cited the images directly beneath the photo, and I just want to show you what that looks like. If you can see that, it's very tiny, but there's the URL to get to that, where that image came from. The same here. This is a very powerful image. And again, as you can tell, there's no doubt. Fought for our country, now he fights to survive. It's clearly this is going to be about homeless veterans. And even if I hadn't read that, I would know that something's going on with a veteran. Okay. And statistics, simple graphic there that makes you understand some are, 9% are women. You can use these little graphic designs like that. And then this one has a really strong call to action. What do they need? How can you help? And offers places where you can actually go and explore to help. So it contains a really strong call to action at the end, okay, which is another great way to leave your audience, asking them to do something or think something or believe in a certain way. That's the purpose of persuasion. Okay, now let's take a look at some things that don't work when we consider the 5 elements of good design, which are proximity, white space, alignment, contrast, and repetition. All right, one thing you've got to be sure when you do graphs or statistics, make sure the math works, okay? That doesn't exactly work. Also, like, for example, this is 61%, and look at 78% and 40%. So it just doesn't align with the amount of color that this person decided to give that infographic, okay? I talked about why backgrounds that are busy aren't effective. Here's why. Just remember that you want your viewer to work as little as possible to get the information so he or she can focus on the message itself, and no energy has to be spent at all trying to try to read it, okay? So that's why a busy background is bad. The viewer has to work too hard to read the words in that one. And I'm going to post this for you all too, so you can look at these in greater detail. I want to show you, let's see. Oh, it also should not be a reading assignment. I should have pointed that out. There was way too much text. Okay. This one, let's see. Okay. you can't really tell exactly which of these pieces of information go with which year. So you have to work a little bit too hard to figure that out, because these are all the same size, and so it's not well aligned. Okay. All right. It takes longer than 8 seconds, I think I said up there. Okay. This one is another one that I want to look at, and this will be the last one, because I mentioned fonts, but I haven't given you many examples of it. So this is Business Model Canvas. I think that says 9 building blocks, maybe. I think it does. But you can tell that the fonts are so crazy that they're very difficult to read. And especially this is poor alignment when it's going over your image. You don't want to do that either, okay? So that's an example of bad alignment and poor font selection that's not appropriate for the topic at all. It's too playful, for one thing, right? Not to mention that you have to work too hard. Proximity, let's see. Let's look at this one. This is, I said, named this the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here's an ugly. Okay, that just makes the viewer not want to look at it. Not to mention there's not enough contrast here. I don't know how it looks on your screen, but I can hardly read that. Okay, and the same here. Remember, as much contrast as you can get between the background and the text so that I don't have to work very hard. So that's it. I want to show you these bad ones. I'm getting ready to post to those for you in the announcements, so you can take your time looking at these much slower and looking at, I skipped a couple of them. And I'm also going to go ahead and post the form for you to post your rough drafts and your group assignments. So look for that in the next hour or so, or by the end of the day for sure. And please let me know if you have any questions, okay? All right. That's it for today. Thanks.